Welcome to the program, friend. In tonight's broadcast, I am going to prophesy to you the demise of the United States of America, why it will happen. Remember this evening. Welcome to the program, friend. Tonight's show is about the future and why. I am predicting that the United States of America, as we know it, will not survive. I am predicting massive violence. I am also saying that the only way to avoid massive violence is an upheaval through the political process that is unlike anything that we've ever seen. It would be unprecedented in American history because the two great internal struggles that America faced, one, the war for independence, two, the war between the states, those did not occupy merely the political realm. They involved muskets, bullets, dead men, widows, and orphans. I think that that's where we're headed. There is one way that we can avoid it. There is one way that we can avoid it. But it would be unprecedented in American history. We'll see. I'm going to make these predictions tonight. If you're somebody who wants to DVR it or record it, do it. Tell your friends. We'll put it up online. But I want to be perfectly clear at the onset. And this goes to all of my political enemies, all of my religious and spiritual enemies, you that are baby killers, you that are promoters of the sodomite agenda, you lost souls who are corrupting America and defying the commandments of God. Mark well this show. These words are going to come true, whether they come true in my lifetime or not, they will come true. And the reason that they'll come true is because there's a God in heaven. And to prove my point, I'm going to use as the backdrop for tonight's discussion, not simply the laws of God, but our own Declaration of Independence. And it is there I begin. And I will end up with words from Supreme Court judges, sitting Supreme Court judges, who warn us of the violence that is coming. And there is violence coming, unless there is a peaceful upheaval that is unprecedented. And so I begin. If you look in the Declaration of Independence, the founders of this republic explained why they were about to overthrow the government and why they were about to kill men, to leave them in anguish on the field of battle while they expired, while they died and went to face God in eternity. They explained why they were about to do what they did. Put it up on the screen, please. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, life, liberty, property, the pursuit of happiness, from God, remember, these are rights that come from our Creator. But back to me, please. So, lest anyone trick you, the founders believed in the laws of nature and nature's God. That was only the Judeo-Christian God. It was not the Islamic God. It was not the deist God. It was the laws of nature and nature's God. That was a phrase right out of Christian philosophy. And that the Creator that they're speaking of, who gives people certain unalienable rights, that Creator defines those rights. The Creator did not give people the right to homosexual marriage. That is an abomination according to the laws of God. So they have no inalienable right to homosexual marriage. And that is coming from our own Declaration of Independence. To secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. I do not consent to what is going on with the slaughter of innocent babies and with the complete violation of marriage, the rape of the very meaning of marriage. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form that as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. It is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. So I'm saying to you that our government, the current government of the United States, under the dictatorship, the tyranny, the oligarchy, the demonic influence, the tyrannical demonic presence and its rulings of the United States Supreme Court, that government has become destructive to the ends of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness under God. And it is our right to alter or to abolish that form of government because it has become destructive to the ends for which God created it. Coming right from the Declaration. That's what the Declaration says. It is our right. I'm going to take a break and be right back. Please stay with me. I am predicting to you the coming dissolution of the United States of America. It cannot hold, friend. We are going to see bloodshed unless there is an unprecedented, peaceful upheaval that could save us. Don't go away. Introducing Roxy Guitar. If you're a guitar or bass player, whether you play acoustic or electric, check out Roxy Guitar. I've been playing for over 40 years and seen guitar stores all over America. I've never seen a store like Roxy Guitar. Roxy Guitar has over 700 guitars in stock, over 1,500 pedals, over 200 amps. For the beginner or price-conscious buyer, there's Michael Kelly guitars. For the serious player or professional, Roxy Guitar has the finest selection of guitar lines I've ever seen. You know I love Warrior guitars. Roxy Guitar has over 100 Warriors in stock. They have Heritage, G&L, Gretsch, John Sears, BC Rich, Duesenberg, Dean, legendary guitars at great prices, including pre-owned Gibsons, Fenders, and more. Let them know you heard about Roxy Guitar from Randall Terry and receive 10% or more off your purchase on select items. Go to roxyguitar.com. Continuing with the prediction, the prophecy of the coming violence and dissolution of the United States. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly, all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. All right, that's the United States right now. We've endured for decades, not a really long time in the course of human history. We've endured for decades, since the 1960s, the abuses of the Supreme Court and the servile submission of Congress and the presidency to Supreme Court dictators, okay? So prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. We're not dealing with light and transient causes anymore, all right? The United States government is less than 250 years old. In the last 50, 60 years, we have seen this slow and steady attack on the principles of America as found in the Declaration of Independence, and they're not getting better. They have not been corrected. Let no fundraising letter deceive you. Let no one in the religious right deceive you when they say we're winning. We're not winning on any front that matters. We are losing. And there is a God in heaven who will bring justice and judgment. But beyond that, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish government that becomes destructive to the ends for which God created it. God made government to do the right thing according to what he defines as right. I continue. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, that means that when you see what the Americans saw was a long list, it was only about 15 or 20 years old, by the way. It was a list of usurpations, the usurping authority towards the object of despotism, to have the King of England or Parliament or both be despots over the people of the United States, or people of the colonies at that time. Evinces a design, shows a design to reduce the people under absolute despotism. Go back to the TV. It is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferances of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. Friends, this is like deja vu all over again. Pick up the Declaration of Independence and read it. Do you see what it says? It is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government. It's coming. 1/3 of the adults polled in America believe that a violent revolution is necessary to restore our constitutional liberties. Really, and that's the way that the framers of the poll framed it. What it should have said was our God-granted liberties. All right? We have been given rights from God. That's what the Declaration says. And when the government becomes destructive, it is the right, it is the duty of people to throw off such government. Now, listen to this. I don't have enough time to go through all of the list, but it says, the history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let the facts be submitted to a candid world. We could just take out the word King of Great Britain and put in the Supreme Court. The history of the present Supreme Court is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all of which having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. That's what's going on with the Supreme Court, people. I actually bought a full-page ad in the Washington Times. We'll put it up before the end of the show, saying that we're headed toward, is the Supreme Court pushing us towards civil war? And they are, friend. Make no mistake, they are. The Supreme Court is pushing us towards civil war, and there are Supreme Court justices that alluded to it in the recent Obergefell decision. When we come back, I'm going to show you the list of crimes that the colonists delineated regarding King George, and then show you show you how those crimes committed by the king are present today with the Supreme Court, and far worse. All right? If you just joined me, I hope you can find this show online, because I am predicting the demise of the United States of America. We will not survive. There is violence coming. We will not survive this unless there is an unprecedented, peaceful solution. There's no history of it in American history. It's possible, but it would take probably as much courage to do what the remedy would require as it would for some people to take up arms. I'll be right back.
I also want to speak tonight directly to Muslims throughout the world. We respect your faith. Its teachings are good and peaceful. And those who commit evil in the name of Allah blaspheme the name of Allah.
We have reaffirmed again and again that the United States is not and never will be at war with Islam. Islam teaches peace.
Islam is a religion of peace. They are not Muslims, they are monsters.
We've been told that Muslim terrorists have hijacked the peaceful religion of Islam. But Islamic art and literature tell a very different story. To know the truth, we only have to study the narrative of the founder of Islam, Muhammad, in his own words. Welcome back to the program, friend. For the sake of time, I'm going to continue reading from the Declaration and talking about today. Here's what the Supreme Court is doing that echoes what King George did. It says he has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. Laws against pornography struck down. Laws against the murder of babies struck down. Laws against or laws in favor of letting children pray in a public school or read the 23rd Psalm or say the Lord's Prayer or have the 10 Commandments on the wall. These are wholesome and necessary for the public good. But these tyrants at the Supreme Court struck them down to the point where they brought the despicable, vile, putrid Obergefell decision that says that two men having sex with each other or two women having sex with each other can constitute the consummation of a marriage. This is an offense against heaven that has not been seen since Sodom and Gomorrah. It's an evil of unspeakable magnitude. Now, they started a war over this, people, and there was nothing like it. One of the Supreme Court judges in the Obergefell decision said that the framers of our republic would not even recognize what is happening in America. They started a war over the atrocities and the injustices and the usurpations of King George III and the British Parliament. A shooting war. And what they were doing to the Americans was not anything that reaches the magnitude of evil that has come from the Supreme Court of the United States. That's why I'm telling you, using the logic and the principles of the Declaration of Independence, we're not going to survive. We're not. It says, he has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained. And when so suspended, he is utterly neglected to attend to them. Just think of our borders. The president says we're going to not let in people from nations where it's impossible to determine if they're Muslim terrorists. To protect our people. The Supreme Court says no. Or a federal judge, some tin pot judge says no. Southern border, protect us from violent criminals coming in? No. See, we are no longer a free people. We're no longer self-governed. The federal judiciary has become the throne of tyrants and despots. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. Do you realize that there were 38 states, if my memory is correct, that had laws against homosexual marriage and saying that only a marriage between one man and one woman at a time could exist? That's it. All right? The Supreme Court struck them down. Now, it's only a matter of time till they strike down polygamy laws, other sexual laws, but they're tyrants. There's a phrase in judicial parlance called substantive due process. Go ahead and look it up. But it is the fountain of poison, because what it is the Supreme Court has arrogated to itself the right to decide what due process means and what it really is. So, for example, homosexual marriage, murdering babies, that's not in our Constitution. It's not in our history. It's not in our laws. It's not in our traditions. It's not in our religions. It's contrary to everything. So the Supreme Court says, well, you have due process with these laws, but substantive due process. What's the substance of the law? We get to determine if the substance is good or bad. And we decide that the substance of protecting babies from murder is bad, and that the substance of the right to have an abortion should be paramount. That's what substantive due process means, friends. It is from the pit of hell. And it is going to bring about violence. Now, let me tell you something, because I'm going to run out of time on this show. There's a book written by a black man called The Appeal, David Walker's Appeal. He wrote it in the 1830s when he was a free black man in Boston. And he prophesied the coming Civil War. If you read it, it's chilling. That's what I'm doing tonight. I am telling you that we are headed for significant violence and the dissolution of the United States. We will not hold together. It's inevitable. It's coming, friends. It's coming. I don't want it. And when we come back from this break, I'm going to tell you the one pathway out, principially, of us not having this type of upheaval. God, may it be so, because I don't want to see the kind of death that's going to come. And it's coming if we don't repent and we don't change. I'll be right back. What Would Mohammed Do? Islamic Terrorism Explained is the best movie series documentary ever produced on the life of Muhammad and Islam. How do I know? Because it's what critics are saying. John Moore, radio host and author, said, "I learned more from What Would Muhammad Do about Islam and Islamic terrorism than I've learned from everything I ever read and watched in my entire life." Best-selling author Dr. Bill Warner said, "What Would Muhammad Do is the best movie series, TV production on the life of Muhammad and Islamic terrorism that has ever been produced." Friends, this is what the experts are saying. No one has ever done what we've done. I encourage you to get 1, 2, 4 copies. Call 304-289-3700. That's 304-289-3700, or order it at the address or the website that you see on the screen. Introducing Roxy Guitar. If you're a guitar or bass player, whether you play acoustic or electric, check out Roxy Guitar. I've been playing for over 40 years and seen guitar stores all over America. I've never seen a store like Roxy Guitar. Roxy Guitar has over 700 guitars in stock, over 1,500 pedals, over 200 amps. For the beginner or price-conscious buyer, there's Michael Kelly guitars. For the serious player or professional, Roxy Guitar has the finest selection of guitar lines I've ever seen. You know I love Warrior guitars. Roxy Guitar has over 100 Warriors in stock. They have Heritage, G&L, Gretsch, John Sears, BC Rich, Duesenberg, Dean, legendary guitars at great prices, including pre-owned Gibsons, Fenders, and more. Let them know you heard about Roxy Guitar from Randall Terry and receive 10% or more off your purchase on select items. Go to roxyguitar.com. I'm going to finish this program again explaining to you why violence is coming, why the United States is not going to survive as we know it, with one possible way out. Remember, Justice Scalia said of the Obergefell decision that it was a judicial putsch. That means it was an overthrow of the government. So we have already had the United States government overthrown. So the question is, how are we going to deal with the tyrants that are in power right now? 2 quotes from the Obergefell decision. This came from Scalia. "Today's decree says that my ruler and the ruler of 320 million Americans coast to coast is a majority of the 9 lawyers on the Supreme Court. This practice of constitutional revision by an unelected committee of 9, always accompanied as it is today by the extravagant praise of liberty, robs the people of the most important liberty they asserted in the Declaration of Independence and won in the Revolution of 1776, the freedom to govern themselves." He said self-government is over. It's gone. Now listen to what Chief Justice Roberts said. Very ominous. He said, Dred Scott's slavery decision, his holding, was overruled on the battlefields of the Civil War. Those who founded our country would not recognize the majority's conception of the judicial role. They, after all, risked their lives and fortunes for the precious right to govern themselves. They would never have imagined yielding that right on a question of social policy to an unaccountable and unelected judges. There will be consequences to shutting down the political process on an issue of such profound public significance. These are 2 Supreme Court judges telling you in very plain language about the Revolution and about the Civil War and why it happened. The only way out of us repeating the Revolutionary War and the Civil War is to impeach the current Supreme Court judges who have betrayed life and liberty, to get them off the court, and then to change the Constitution so that a simple majority can remove judges, all right? Or that they have not a lifetime appointment, but a 5 or a 10-year appointment. Somehow they have, or the direct election of federal judges. But the current process is unsustainable. And there is no precedence in America for altering the Supreme Court. Mark my words, remember this program. I'm Randall Terry. This is the voice of resistance. you.